Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Skippy. Welcome to another video. Okay, part 6. We're now getting on quite well with the Guillow Super Cub. Haven't seen it already. This is the stage that it's at now. All ready to go. Just need to get the wings fitted, get the cowling sorted, finish off the cockpit area, and then put the decals on. So, the wings. As always, I made a little bit of a start because I got carried away. But what I've done, I've slotted the microservos into the wing. To do this, I cut out a slot, a pre-prepared slot within the wing. Show you a picture, and then so that I could mount the servo onto it, I cut a piece of balsa, pressed it into that square, glued it in place, and then using hot glue, glued the servo in. And now you can see it's a nice, solid position and not a bad height. And I've made sure that the drive cog doesn't rub on the wing. So what I now need to do is move on and get the actual push rod made and the control horns fitted. So I'll do that and do some pictures as we go. To mount the wing supports, I've cut a slot carefully into the tissue there. There's no actual slot in the wood for it to go into from that end. Obviously slit the wing where the ribs do have slots for the end of the struts to go into. I've also created a slightly flat edge just to give a little bit more gluing surface area. And then what I'll do is apply the sino onto the bottom end, place it into that hole, and then gently press the end of the struts into those two slots there, hold it for a minute, and then as you can see it will look like that, which works quite well. It seems quite rigid as well, which is good. I then just need to put in the upright bracing struts, and then it'll be ready for painting. Obviously I haven't covered in this tissue paper, it's a bit too fiddly, and then hopefully there's enough spacing between the struts to run the registration number on the decal. So she's taking shape, wing supports are in, all the struts within the cockpit area are glued in place. The servo wires are all connected and plugged into the SC board. I've actually just given it a test. All the surfaces are moving the correct way. There's a bit of differential on the ailerons, which is good. Motor turns without rubbing on the cowling. So what I'm going to do before I glue the canopy on, which I've cut out here, just about see it. It does seem to fit. I've dry fitted it and it works. So what I'm going to do now is paint these bits silver, let that dry overnight, and then look at installing the canopy tomorrow, and then moving on to the decals. She's finally looking like a cub. Managed to do the painting, painted all the parts silver that were bare wood or plastic. Not a bad finish. Brushed it on, didn't airbrush it. Touched up a few of the gaps where the tissue hadn't quite covered. But yeah, I think she's finally looking as she should. But what I'm really pleased with is now that I've got a little bit more confidence in the paper, I cut this area where there were significant wrinkles, same on the other side, I'll show you the photos, and replaced that panel. And I think it looks a lot better. So it just tidies up the whole leading edge. Yeah, the wings could be tighter. I'm not going to cover the whole piece, but I just got rid of those really bad wrinkles at the wingtips there. So very pleased with that. What I'll now do is try and glue the clear canopy on, the cutout that I showed you a photo of, and then I shall apply the decals once that's all dried in place. These are the decals I'm going to be using. It's roughly based on pictures of pipers that I've seen, and then obviously serial numbers and everything else made up slightly. I've used the water slide decal paper, white, printed it on my inkjet printer off the computer, having made the markings, etc., on the computer. I've then sprayed it with a couple of thin layers of gloss varnish, hopefully to match the varnish, the shinier effect of the tissue paper, because I won't be overspraying them. I'll be cutting them out, then using room temperature water, leave them in there for 3 minutes, and then carefully slide them into position. So I shall get on with that as well. So there we go, the Guillow Super Cub is finally finished. It's not perfect condition. Putting the plastic on for the canopy was a lot trickier than I'd hoped, so I'm not going to do any close-ups because there's a bit of glue fingerprints on it, but it's there, it's fitted. Managed to decide at the wingtips. I've learned a lot about applying this tissue paper because obviously it's pre-painted. It's basically having it cut to shape, spraying the inside of the tissue where the paint isn't, so that it then shrinks and you get a nicer finish. So actually, once you know that, it's quite a good tissue to use. I quite like the silver finish, and the fact that I've not had to paint it myself is brilliant. Decals made, that's fitted. It all comes in at just under 100 grams. What's that? Just close to 3.5 ounces. That's with the battery. So I just now need to get the right weather conditions and hopefully get her flying in the next week or two. And then that'll be good for the Maiden video. Sorry that it's taken so long to get to this stage. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your continued support. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. And I will think about what am I going to build next. Thanks again.